Hello there, Padawan learners, Jedi Masters, and lore legends. Welcome to the Bendu Podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars.
Welcome, everyone, to the Bendu Podcast, where we seek balance in the Force. We have our host with us tonight, Nightcrawler. What's up, bro?
Hey, how's it going? Crawler coming at you.
And this guy that finally joined us, N64 Josh.
Hey, so glad to be back and talk about Ray's mom. Woohoo!
Yes,
Take that shot,
yes.
everybody. Take that shot.
Nate Johns couldn't join us right now. He may join a little bit later, so he may be coming a little later. But we have a special guest I want to introduce before we get rolling on this podcast, and that is The2ndQuest. What's up, man?
Greetings, hola, konnichiwa, and katoya.
Oh yeah. So I'm really excited to chat with you tonight. We're gonna be talking a little bit Kenobi episode 3. So guys, if you're listening and watching, yes, there will be spoilers for Kenobi episode 3. We're also going to talk Star Wars Celebration because
wait, I gotta watch it. Hang on, let me get it fired up real quick.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we were literally just talking about.
Gotta keep it on brand, you know.
This would be the things like that celebrations could be for us talking while Josh catches up.
Yes, exactly. Right there. Exactly. Oh, that's great. We're also going to talk Star Wars Celebration because The2ndQuest got to go, so we're going to hear some of his stories, who he is, and all that stuff. But before we dive in, guys, if you want, join the Discord. We have a Star Wars only Discord where we talk Star Wars. You can find out about the Bendu Podcast, all the other stuff we talk about. And we just started a Patreon. Thank you, Josh. That was a great idea. We do have some amazing Patreons already, so thank you guys for that. There's some cool rewards in there.
Question.
Yes. Answer.
Periodically, can I just take over the Patreon and load it up with some exclusive content?
You can.
Feet pics.
100%. 100%.
Well, maybe I'll paint lightsabers on my toenails and then
it's all going to be Ray's mom's memes. That's what we're going to have in there.
Maybe it'll be Ray's mom's feet. Hey!
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we'll see.
But is that something that can happen? What tier level can I take over?
You can take over any tier level. Right now we have Padawan Learner, Jedi Knight, Jedi Master, Sith Lord, and Clone Trooper and Bounty Hunter. And the highest right now is Bounty Hunter. So
okay.
You know.
Well, I'll take over like tier 2 or 3 at one of these days. So be in there, guys. Be in there. Unlock this special. It's not gonna be my feet. I promise. It'll be something good. Besides, I don't have Star Wars feet. I have Hobbit feet. It's totally not on brand for the Bendu Podcast. So
it almost works.
Yeah, I mean, I'm practically a Wookiee.
Yeah, exactly.
If he takes over that tier, then you're just going to have to up your game for the higher one to provide any incentive to go any further.
Exactly. It'll dude, we can totally do a calendar of just Josh without his shirt on and like a Boba Fett helmet. Like he's Mr. December.
Hey, my goal as a child in high school was to become a garbage man for 2 reasons. 1, to find a lotto ticket somebody accidentally threw away, and 2, to go on Ricky Lake as a sexy garbage man. So hey, I'll be Star Wars Mr. December. Let's do it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I got time to get to December. I can still get to that sexy weight. Hit the gym hard. Let's go.
Yeah. So that was awesome. That was a great intro for The2ndQuest here, so we can get to know him more. So tell us about yourself, man. How'd you become a Star Wars fan? Of course, we're going to get into Star Wars Celebration, but how did the journey start for you?
Oh, you're muted.
He's muted somehow.
See, he's using the Jedi mind trick on us.
There we go.
Right
Sorry. Childhood, basically. Child of the 80s. So in that sort of post-Jedi Dark Times era, when there were still a lot of toys available, Ewoks, droids.
The hulked out Kenner toys? Yeah.
Before that. The Power Force 1. Got a nice bucket full of loose ones from a garage sale that my mom found. And so you just dump that out and you divvy up your teams between your friends, whatever, who gets the headless Greedo,
Yeah.
Then stuck with it as the books started to come out in the 90s with the expanded universe and resurgence of the video games. And that led to online communities in the early internet days of AOL and and led me into the Force.net message board community later on in the early 2000s. And then I've basically been a moderator there for the last 20, now probably more than 20 years.
Wow.
for their literature forum, their video games forum, at one point their television forum back when Clone Wars was starting.
Yeah.
And stuff. So kind of staying with the community in that point. Was also involved with the Dark Horse Comics community when they were going strong. And it's kind of ingrained as a pastime at this point.
Since birth, basically.
I mean, I guess that whole arc would have peaked with the StarWars.com hyperspace subscription service they had at one point. They had a thing where people could submit backstories and names for objects from the films and so on that didn't have any information for them, and that would become at that time Legends canon. And so I've managed to fortunately get, I would call 2 1/10 of those things in, and they have actually transferred over to the modern canon. So I got the name from Revenge of the Sith. So I'm always happy about that. They've never made a toy about it, of course, though. So my luck.
Yeah.
But, it was just really cool to like find your way into that sort of stuff, and then you just kind of stick with it afterwards. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite EU book or like a story arc that you really enjoyed?
It's hard to narrow down because there's like 150 novels at this point, but like from the Legends continuity, I mean, it's not controversial to say that probably the best written one is the Revenge of the Sith novelization, but certain authors are always going to be more favorable to some readers than others. So everything with from Michael Reeves, Tim Zahn, Michael Stackpole, they all kind of like weave together in sort of like a sub mega story arc or whatever, the backbone of the expanded universe kind of. So the X-Wing, the Thrawn books, and so on. Those are the core ones.
Thrawn fan?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't like a hardcore Thrawn fan from the original novels. Just they were great, obviously, but it wasn't until they could really go deeper into the character in the canon rebooted novels of the last few years that you could really go into the character and really appreciate the sort of Sherlock Holmes qualities of the character. Even outside of his eventual animated appearance on Rebels.
We're gonna get more of him, so
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Actually, just got the limited edition of the Thrawn Ascendancy novels that like they arrived while I was at Celebration because they kept delaying it because of shipping delays or supply delays. So I couldn't order it when I would have normally done it and had it in time. So I'm at Celebration, like hoping that it's not raining at home right now, like with this box on my doorstep or whatever. And,
or porch pirates. Gotta watch out for those porch pirates.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
They won't know what gold they have there because I think that thing sold out in 4 minutes and went straight to eBay for $600 or something like that. And and I had the first two, and I was like, I had to have the third one. So it's like,
Dang, man. I gotta say too, I'm super jelly that while y'all were at Celebration, y'all got to see the Ahsoka trailer because all I got was grainy stuff I could find on TikTok. That's all I got, man.
I was fortunate to be in that panel. That was the one lotto that I won for the Celebration stage events. So I was able to see that one in person or whatever. It was more than I thought we were going to get because I expected it to be like just like a logo teaser or maybe like a one quick scene kind of thing. And then they revealed, it's a sequel to Rebels, basically.
So go into a little bit to that. How does that all work with the panels and everything? Like you have to submit for drawings and stuff.
There's I would break it down to be 3 tiers. For the major panel for each day, there was a lotto you had to submit for online prior to the convention. So that was the Lucasfilm panel on Thursday where they revealed Willow and the first part of the Mandalorian trailer and those other ones. Friday, I think, was the Industrial Light and Magic documentary panel. Saturday was what they call the Mando Plus, which is where they dealt with that, and they brought the cast of Andor and then Ahsoka. And then Sunday was for Bad Batch Season 2. So those were the main lotto ones you had to get in advance, and you wouldn't necessarily get all of them. You might not get any of them. I was fortunate enough to get one live, and I got Bad Batch on one of the streaming stages that they rebroadcast at the convention. Day of, through their app, you can then, I think it was 8 a.m. or 8:30. You can get into a virtual queue to then try to get in for the major panels of that day beyond that one. And then you would get an email saying, hey, you got this one, this one, this one. And that gets you sort of the light speed lane to get into the panel. And then
Disney likes their apps and their digital queuing, don't they?
Yeah, well, they started doing that at the last convention. But then there's also a standby line. So if you don't get any of that, you can try and squeeze in there for anything that's left over, or anybody who got a light speed lane or a lotto and didn't show up. You might get in that way, but it's a little more hit or miss depending on the nature of the panel or event. But yeah, they've been doing the app thing since the Chicago one, which was the 9th celebration. And it's definitely helped in some regards, because then you can you don't have to necessarily wait in a 1 hour line just to do one panel.
Yep.
But at the same time, if there's something that you really want to see with those major lotto ones, you really, even if you want to put the effort in to get there really super early, you're probably not gonna be able to get into it live. So I would love to have been that live room for the Lucasfilm panel, especially since they got all the wristbands to see the Kenobi premiere later that night.
Earlier, yeah.
So I wouldn't have minded being overnight for that one, because I used to do the overnights for the previous celebrations for their major panels. But now unfortunately you can't put that effort in, unfortunately. So it's a give or take. It's great that you can get it, obviously, and then you can sleep in and on a concrete floor in an air conditioned room.
So you got into the Ahsoka one. What was the other ones you said?
Well, the Ahsoka one was a combination of Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and Andor. Okay. And that's where they actually showed the full Mandalorian trailer. The one that initially I think leaked online that you got some cam footage of was only the first half of the trailer that they showed on Thursday. Yeah, they didn't show the full thing, which was almost another minute and 20 seconds longer until that Saturday panel.
Wow, I didn't even realize there was a second part to that.
Yeah, the one that got leaked online, kind of cut with that whole line of "you thought your dad was the only Mandalorian" or something like that. Mm-hmm. There was then another, I counted about 70 something seconds of footage after that, because they showed it twice again on Saturday or whatever, and a lot more action.
What was the audience reaction? I mean, just people going nuts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's seeing that stuff with a live audience is just a complete thrill, because it's just like being at it's better than being in a movie theater to a degree, because you have a lot of the cast up there too that you're giving appreciation towards and feeding back on. And it's of course a lot of times you can't even hear half the dialogue because people are cheering. The character showed up, yay! That's so there was dialogue there, kind of thing. Yeah. And,
is there conversation locally there when that kind of stuff is gatekept from everybody else? Is there any kind of conversation that goes on in the crowd?
It depends. Because one thing they did differently this year than at the last celebration was at the Chicago one, at the Star Wars live stage, they actually broadcast almost all the panels and special things there. So if you couldn't get into one of those other rooms, you could at least watch with an audience right there, and it was great. That's how we saw the rise of. That's how I saw the Rise of Skywalker trailer, because I couldn't get into that panel from the Lotto either. This time you get there and they're like, oh, it's not starting for another hour after the Lucasfilm panel. I guess they really don't want people recording it from that live stage or something, and so they didn't really rebroadcast it that way. Maybe they showed a few highlights later in the day, but I didn't really get a chance to circle back that way, unfortunately. So there was disappointment with the people around me who were expecting the same thing going in, that, oh, we'll just go to the live stage and watch it there. And you get there and oh, I guess it's not happening. And I guess I'm going to go do something else now and not see these things.
Yeah.
So the gatekeeping, I mean, the word spreads around, and you're still on the line with some crappy Wi-Fi trying to find the bootleg before it gets taken down.
Yeah.
So it's
TikTok's where it's at, because they don't have DMCA yet.
Dude, that's how we found it. We literally went to TikTok and found it.
I saw it initially on Twitter, but then I'm sure that got taken down. But then the same video circulated on TikTok.
I think I found it I think I found a Twitter one while I was waiting in line for one of the other panels. I'm like, all right, well, I got some decent Wi-Fi here. I'm gonna sit down and watch this thing. Okay, that's what the Mandalorian panel was like, and that's how I knew that it cut off at that one point, because that was before I'd seen the Mandalorian panel.
Yeah.
And then you go there, I'm like, oh, that's the ending. Oh, wait, there's more.
So
wait, there's significantly more.
What do you remember? What was all in that second video? That
You saw a lot more fighter combat, I recall, and
was there anything that had to?
I actually do not recall a lot of the specific details of that, because really the more memorable stuff actually wasn't like visuals were in that first half, like with Bo-Katan on the throne and so on. So there are elements that you're like. I apologize. I don't recall the specifics of that segment. I know there was a lot more action with like some fighter combat and stuff in space.
Okay, so definitely space battles for sure.
Yeah, definitely space battles. It was a lot more larger scale stuff. A little bit more difficult to be more specific than that. Just from a lot of this footage kind of blurs together, and I'm watching on a phone. Well, no, I did see that on theater, so at least I had that. But you're still in the excitement of the moment, so it's hard to let it just sink in and be in like a YouTube video, like brain absorption sponge or whatever.
Man, I really do hope they release those on YouTube at some point, because like it's, as Star Wars fans, we want that, right? We want to like sit and discuss it and dissect it,
analyze it.
Yeah. And
I hope they do eventually, because it's always nice for historical looking context of seeing what was the original trailer like versus the final product and so on.
Yeah.
I would hope that they would eventually release something in some form online. Like they did that with Bad Batch Season 2 on Sunday. The one that we saw at the convention was different than the one that they've released online. And they both had their pros and cons to it. So it was good that you had something exclusive for the people at the convention, but you got the majority of what we saw still released to the public in some form, just rearranged in a little different thing. You actually got a line of dialogue from Sidious that we didn't get at the convention trailer. So because he was actually the end of our trailer. Like, but he opens up your trailer. I know
that's true. Yeah.
So he gets like a dialogue at the beginning where he was like the stinger at the end of our trailer. We got like an extended scene with Cody and Crosshair talking about if questioning, like,
look at that face light up right there.
I knew it was Cody, dude. We were watching that trailer. I was like, that's Cody. We like last podcast, we were dissecting it. I was like, no, dude, that's his armor.
Definitely Cody.
Yeah.
It was, I think it was like them on Coruscant. I think they were in Coruscant. Like that. It seemed like I recall it being similar to that sort of military facility where like the whole Ahsoka trial arc in Clone Wars took place partially. Like that kind of
It seems like there's a lot more Coruscant in Season 2.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense because if they have to get to the Senate, that we're going to see more of that planet in that process.
Dang. So that's Cody in the Bad Batch. Oh my gosh, dude. I mean, he's like literally working with the Empire and Crosshairs. So,
but what's interesting about the conversation is that it's Cody the one kind of questioning what they're doing, and Crosshairs the one saying, "Good soldiers follow orders."
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm wondering if Cody has regrets over what he did in some form or not. I don't know. It's only one line of dialogue, so I can't extrapolate too much. But hey, we're here to speculate, right?
Yeah. Oh man, that would be amazing if they give him some type of redemptive arc, because he didn't hesitate with like shooting at Kenobi.
Yeah, he just said open fire.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't have a choice.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I mean,
but you don't see the same struggle that Rex had. Like he was like,
yeah. But Ahsoka's relationship with Rex was far closer than Obi-Wan with Cody, because Obi-Wan was a little more distant and less. I mean, he treated them well, but it wasn't like they were.
He wasn't like Anakin or Ahsoka.
Yeah, I mean, Rex is almost like the uncle in this scenario to a degree. After a while,
yeah,
especially with the age later on.
What was some of your favorite moments while you were at Star Wars Celebration, and some of the best cosplays you saw?
Oh,
that was my question. I was like, I'm gonna finally ask something.
Come on, Josh.
That's what I want to know. Did you see Rey's mom?
I did attend a lot of the publishing panels, so there were some cool things in there. But the highlight was definitely being at that Mando Plus panel, because they had all those cast members out there on stage. They brought in from, because I guess she just finished shooting something for Ahsoka, so she wasn't available Thursday when they did like announcements for some of the TV stuff. But on Saturday is when
Rosario Dawson.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm blanking there for a second. Night Nurse from the Defenders. She came out on stage with Chopper, and then they used Chopper as a reveal to kind of like lead into the reveal that there's gonna be more and more Rebels content. And then we got the actual video reveal, and you can see, at least from behind, Harrison Dula in live action, which was amazing because I love that character. So no reveal yet of who's playing her, I don't think. I know they don't necessarily have the voice actors translate to the live action, but
Yeah.
Vanessa did portray her in live action in Star Wars Squadrons. So I'm kind of hoping she might be an exception because she does look like her.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Fingers crossed. But
so I heard lots of rumors too that there was maybe like a sighting of Jace Zendula in there. Like, did you see?
There is someone using the Force at some point. Now, whether that is Jason Zendula or Ezra or somebody else,
yeah,
could remain to be seen. I believe, as I recall, there was an object, and you see it like someone force grab it, basically.
Because how old is Jason Sindula gonna be? He'd be like seven or so.
So
yeah, 7 or 8. Like because Mando is what 5 years?
5 years.
5 years after Jedi, I think. So
and Jedi from Yavin is
3.5.
3 years. Yeah,
like 3.5, 4 years. So yeah, he's in that ballpark because he would have had them been born like, well, Rebels
ends at Return of the Jedi.
But really ends like a year-ish before A New Hope, because it's before.
But then the epilogue takes place after Endor.
But she would have had to have been pregnant, obviously.
Yeah,
prior. So she was already pregnant at the end of Rebels before the epilogue. So you have, I think, a year, which is where Rogue One and maybe a little bit of Andor takes place.
Yeah. So
you have maybe 1 year there, 3 to 4 years from the trilogy, and then another 5 to Mando era, depending on how much time.
Also, Andor season 2 is gonna walk up right to Rogue One, right? But Andor season 1 is gonna be more kind of timed out a little bit, right?
Probably, yeah. I think Andor. I mean, in my head, I'm thinking Andor season 1 is going to be before Rebels because Mon Mothma is still in the Senate. She hasn't gone on the run yet, like she did in season 3, I think, of Rebels. So the alliance isn't quite there yet. So, and I'm thinking then Andor season 2, hopefully, just to make it a nice clean cut, is just after Rebels and before Rogue One. Not that we don't have to worry about figuring out a throw-on situation where, if you go into halfway through this episode, and then this is where Andor season 2 takes place, then you stop and pause, and then jump back over here, and then you can finish off Rebels.
We're literally going to need a Jedi librarian. We need a Jedi librarian that can just give us the whole. Here's the timeline.
As long as they don't timeline it like Clone Wars, then we're good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's. I've had my battle wounds over the Clone Wars timeline.
Yeah.
Before the animated series, I was quite obsessed with the original Clone Wars multimedia project, and I actually got to a point where because to solve one question, I ended up plotting out about the first 1.5 to 2 years of the original Clone Wars in a day-by-day breakdown, because I had to answer a question about Jedi Starfighter. It was just I had to figure it out, and I just kept going. And then Clone Wars was announced, and I'm like, oh, this is all out the window now. So
yeah. Josh, you wanted to ask about cosplay? Sorry.
Yeah. What was the best one you saw?
Oh, there were so many really good ones. I saw someone had a puppeted K2 SO where they had the rods or whatever in front of them to be able to move the whole full body in front. There was. Did
you see the big Grievous walking around?
I did not. I have seen a Grievous before, though, at some of the previous celebrations, and like similar rod puppet. And there was one I know that even had like the arms that could pop out.
Very cool.
There was
super cool.
I saw Black Chrysanthemum. I saw a lot of High Republic stuff. There was a fantastic Bosk and Boba Fett.
I think I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah, he was really getting into it too. Like he was just talking like Bosk and acting like Bosk the entire time too. It's like someone would go over there and like ask excuse me for a photograph. He's like, what? Get your best.
You're just another target.
Yeah. Got a good picture of him and like someone in a Chewbacca like choking him. Going, so there was the cosplayers had so much fun with that. I didn't see them all in person, but there was a bunch of Force Ghost people who used sort of like a netting to make them look like a translucent, glowing Force Ghost. And there was, I guess, apparently some Ghostbuster Jedi or whatever around too, like going after
Don't cross the streams.
But I did manage to see the Obi-Wan ghost somewhere, so I was go Ben.
Did you get to see the running of the Wilrow hoods?
Woodrow hoods. No, I did not see that one. I saw a video of it though, and I did see some other trooper marches and Mandalorian mercs.
There's a ton of Mandos there. I saw in one video, like a
Oh,
ton.
I mean, yeah, they've just exponentially grown every time. I mean, once you get a TV show, all of a sudden you're gonna get like a minimum 30% increase in your membership.
Yeah,
Especially when you can like basically customize yourself to whatever, not have to worry about being screen canon or what have you.
yeah.
And
I saw a good. They did a live Robot Chicken remake of the escalator.
I've seen a couple of those. Yeah,
Trooper.
Yeah.
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 Stormtrooper. There was a fantastic. I know it's not technically cosplay, but with the droid builders have some crazy droids out there out about. There was last day I saw an amazing R5D4, which was just fully tricked out and did this whole routine with this little kid, where it would pop out like little eggs that had like some of the collectibles that they would do for like chase events and bounty hunts and stuff. And then you could go up to it and it would deploy a card out of it that you would take for like the bounty hunting cards or whatever. It blew off its top for the motivator and smoke would come out. And then like,
oh my gosh,
a little drawer would pop open so the kid could put the piece back in. So
that's awesome.
And it would take it back in. And yeah, it was just really amazing. Like all the little gizmos and stuff that they could fit in there and actually make them functional.
Yeah.
I read something interesting the other day about R5 and that he was a member of the Alliance as well, and that R2 like talked to him on the Sandcrawler and let him know that he was on a mission, and that he sabotaged himself so that R2 would get picked up by Luke. And
that is familiar to me. Yeah,
Interesting.
I think that was Legends, but I wouldn't be against him that being brought over as a character. I mean,
Legends is crossing streams so much with canon now.
I know, yeah,
it's being brought in. So.
It's a basis for something. I mean, you have to explain how he got to Pelimato at that point. Like if he was with the Alliance, why did obviously he never got back to the Alliance, so that's a little sad. But
yeah,
and then R2 shows up in Luke's X-wing and R5's probably just there going, it's like, that could have been me.
This could have been me. Did you get to see Chopper?
I saw a couple choppers, yeah. I saw some from the droid
chopper, like on stage. Did you see?
Oh yeah, no, that was at that Mando Plus panel, and yeah, see him come out on stage, and like they've really improved that one too, because I've seen them bring him out for events before, like they used to have for the old Star Wars show on online, and this one's more screen detailed. You could tell that they were planning on him having some close-ups for Ahsoka versus his Rogue One background cameo.
yeah.
You know, his head does the whole wobble thing. He's got the arms and everything. Yeah, it's
did the head wobble on stage?
Yeah. He does the head wobble.
Oh my gosh, that's
everything
awesome.
else. Yeah.
Did they? The little arms are going to have to be puppeted, probably, right? Or did they have?
Oh, they came out. Yeah, I mean, I have.
Oh wow.
I don't know if we translate. I have video of it, but yeah, no, it was just seemed like the full deal. They have it all in one. At least this one all-in-one thing. I'm sure they might have another one for like other specific puppeteering aspects.
But yeah, they had like 4 BB-8s for different things.
Yeah, but this one seemed to be able to do the basics, whatever. I mean, I always, my general theory with Chopper throughout Rebels is whenever you hear him go womp womp, is usually him saying murder is fun. So I mean, that would translate to this live action one pretty well, I think.
Yeah, I think Chopper's quickly becoming one of my favorite droids. Like. And that's hard over R2 because R2 is just OG,
or K2.
It's easy to forget how much how quick to violence Chopper can be. You're not used to necessarily. You think, it'll be one gag or two gags, and you start rocking back. You're like, this is happening a lot, actually. I think, what was it? My favorite example of that too was always the one where the Inquisitors, I think, had a ship on the ground. It was one where they were stealing Force-sensitive children again. And I think it's Zeb and Chopper there. And they're like, what are we going to do? Whatever. And it's like, Chopper's first instinct is to blow it up with the baby. And he's like, You're not
Blow
blowing
it up. No, chop.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like, it didn't seem like it was even like his second suggestion. It was his first. So that's just like,
Yeah.
I think that characterizes Chopper pretty
Well,
succinct.
because what's the backstory on Chopper? Hera saved Chopper and built him, right? Isn't that?
He was in a crashed Y-wing during the Clone Wars on Ride.
Yep.
And she saved him from that, and that's why he's a little beat up, and she modified him, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got a little HK-47 in him, it sounds like.
Exactly. Welcome, Nate, by the way. Welcome.
At least survived.
Yeah.
HK,
Hello, everyone.
HK is similar to 000, and just kind of as a personality that's been downloaded or something to eventually becomes Chopper.
Exactly. Like maybe it is HK in disguise. Yeah. So
takes the helmet off of me all the time.
yeah. What was probably some of the biggest highlights for you? I mean, I know you said the Mandalorian panel was awesome.
It had to be, yeah. I mean, it's hard to ignore that. But yeah, sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. That was it.
Oh yeah, it was just good just being with the community again. I think one thing that made this particular convention special is the first one after COVID. It was delayed because of COVID as well. So because the 2021 never happened.
Yeah.
For my wallet, but but for this one, it was people got a chance to like kind of get back together again. I have to imagine for a lot of people, they probably maybe not have even gone to the last one because Chicago was more mid-country versus the coastal ones. So I think there was a lot of good spirit going along and with the positivity. Something that Star Wars needs a lot of to just to remind yourself sometimes when you expose yourself to too much of the online vitriol that is clearly a vocal minority that is just trying to drag the rest of it down.
I think, I didn't mean to bring it up, but now that you kind of bring it up, like there's something I've been thinking about, even creating some TikToks about is I feel like sometimes we as creators get so fixated on the negative and give attention to like the negative commenters and the negative people in the community that it hijacks your content and it hijacks the fandom where it's like you're so focused on the negative that it's like you're giving these negative commenters a platform to just ruin the fandom and ruin your fun, when
it becomes seemingly part of the conversation, having to address it further amplifies it. So there's a bit of a feedback loop to that they unfortunately do feed off of, and
it's like you give them attention and it's like, oh, there's one cockroach, now there's 50,
Right. Yeah. Because, it doesn't matter if there's like, an explanation for something or clearly their statement is contradicting something. As long as they can get their headline and some clicks, they don't care what happens or what effect that has on the wider conversation or perception of the fandom. And, you get some of these more negative aspects like what happened with the Reva actress. And so on.
And I don't understand the hate towards young Leia either. I don't.
She's fantastic.
I think that's one of the best parts of the show.
I thankfully I have not seen that because she was just been an absolute delight.
She runs pretty slow.
Okay, there is that.
That part was pretty funny.
A little differently, but other than that, yeah.
That's on Deborah Chow for that one though.
Yeah.
That's a little Disneyfied Star. We're like,
I think she's captured, I think, the qualities of Princess Leia like fairly perfectly. I thought, like with
and elements of Padme too.
I mean, that had to have been like the most difficult piece of casting I can imagine because it's not only just like not even talking about like acting talent, but like she's got to be a certain age, a certain height, a certain look, and then on top of that, find a child that can act from that very narrow pool. And I mean, I think we're really quite fortunate for them to have succeeded the way they did.
There was
I posted a picture yesterday on the Bendu Twitter of Carrie Fisher as about the same age. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Yeah.
How did you have that so fast?
I knew you were gonna bring it up. I'm in your head, Josh.
That was crazy right there. Wow.
I was thinking the same thing.
And I don't know if it's true, but I did see that similar picture on the left, captioned as being that was Carrie Fisher's pet bird Lola.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is just something being cute.
Wow, I never knew that.
I'd say I don't know if
that's
that's a
her
true
joy.
piece of trivia or just someone making a cute comment.
I see.
But that would be an amazing little tribute if true.
Absolutely, yeah. Wow.
Wow. That is like top notch. Like that is definitely knowing your Star Wars history and lore and like just even like the actors, if that's true, if that's like her
Reddit is
joy.
saying with her pet bird Benny Carl, but that's Reddit.
Okay.
So I mean,
Okay, so then the caption was just being cute then.
Yeah.
I'm a headcanon that one. Who cares?
yeah,
Exactly.
It's a better story that way.
It's a better story that way. Why get in the way of a better story?
Yeah. So, I was also going to mention that, like, one of the things I saw with Leia that a lot of people were talking about is how Deborah Chow and everybody else involved in the film or the TV show have been giving her wardrobe exact same looks of New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And even like her hairstyles and everything. So you can see her, almost her evolution in her story with Obi-Wan as well, where she was like a New Hope. Now she's very defiant. And now she's like, this is our last chance, the Return of the Jedi kind of a deal. So I thought that was really cool how they're doing that. And I guess we can kind of just segue into this. But unless you have anything else to add, Second Quest from Celebration you want to share.
I think that covers the business. I mean, I think most of the other major announcements for anything like publishing, whatever, will be out there in the wild from various websites. I don't think from a personal experience necessarily needs to be conveyed, but just, a lot of, it was actually, I'll say it was really cool to see the High Republic panel because it actually filled out one of the bigger auditoriums. And I've never seen a publishing panel at these celebrations have that large of an attendance. So that has definitely been gaining a lot of wider spread attention and traction within the fandom in the past, considering that it was barely announced at the last celebration. So in 3 years, it's gone from not covertly, hinted at with the whole Project Luminous project codename to being full-fledged phase 1 publications and having cosplays and auditoriums full of fans. And so that's mighty impressive. You know what? Actually, the best cosplay was, if you know High Republic, someone was cosplaying as Geode.
Nice.
Yep, they carried the thing around in front of him, and then when they were gathering all the cosplayers on stage for the High Republic thing, that they went out. Someone ran outside to get the Geode person, and you see them rush in carrying this thing and wobble up on stage, and it was really makes your life complete when you see Geode hobble up on stage.
Yeah.
So are you going to London?
No, I haven't done any of the overseas celebrations. I've only done the 10 North American ones only. But the next year, I spent so much on this particular trip, I don't think I'm able to swing London on top of everything else.
Yeah.
So, I tend to sit those one out to give my wallet a chance to
heal.
or heal just in time for me to re-wound it in the exact same place.
Right. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Kenobi. As Servant said earlier, his only negative comment was there isn't more Obi-Wan. So he wants more. He was telling me, I think in our Discord or another stream, that he is absolutely loving Kenobi. It's probably some of his favorite Star Wars. And I gotta say, like after episode 3, guys, oh my gosh. So let's just start it from the beginning. What did you guys think of this episode? What's some stuff that stood out? I mean, obviously we know what stood out, but what was some stuff for you guys? It was just
I got like
amazing.
2 minutes left. If we can just hang on for about 2 more minutes, I'm just about finished.
Almost done. Yeah.
It's just about over. Yeah, just about.
I will say, like there was
Nate's
just scratching his forehead.
He's like, what are we doing here? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
God, you know how to derail stuff, Josh. That's all I'll say.
We also don't know if he's actually lying or not. Actually,
No, he fessed up to me that he was going to go watch it last night. He did watch. You did watch it, right? Last night.
I did. Yes.
Okay.
Good.
But I will say, like, taking the elements of the original trilogy with Nazism and fascism and all that kind of stuff, and having a common regular guy like Freck just buy into selling out his neighbor kind of to the Nazis, like that story arc was just baked into this episode, and it's crazy to see that, like, he that wasn't an official sigil on the back of his transport. He painted that himself.
Yep.
He bought in hook, line, and sinker to the ideology of the Empire, and just enjoyed the order that it brought, and didn't really care who it destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's cheerful demeanor, disguising until you see the bumper sticker kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. That has been an interesting thing they've been doing with some of these Dark Times era projects, particularly with Bad Batch, and showing the effects of the wider common galaxy in the establishment of the Empire. And obviously, we're deeper into that now at this point, but you're still seeing those effects, despite the clearly, I don't want to say devastation, but whatever the mining strip mining has done to them.
Yeah.
In that area.
Josh,
Yes.
I need to know, was it Darth Vader enough for you?
Okay. Does anybody else feel like some of these shows are filmed like Blair Witch, or like you're like, why can't this look just a little grittier? Like, it almost feels like a YouTube series at times, like that's a well done YouTube series, but I'm like, come on, like, why I've watched Game of Thrones, like, why can't these Star Wars shows look as gritty, right? That's my biggest complaint. Now,
well, I got an answer for you. It's because it's the volume. The volume is amazing, but it's got its limitations. Whereas Game of Thrones was filmed in Ireland at a castle at night for 4 months, and in Spain for like I mean, that's what it is. They're on a backlot at MGM filming in the volume.
Yeah.
Well, Obi-Wan, I think, has a lot more location.
It's practical, in location,
And so when they were using those, you can tell. But then as Vader's walking around, it felt like a guy in a costume walking around in the sand. Like, it kind of pulled me out of it, unfortunately, which usually that does. And I have to continue, like, to put myself back into it. That's the negative out of the way. When he freaking snapped his thumb, like, just like moved his thumb and snapped the neck, I was like, Lord Vader, welcome. Like I'm all about it. Like, they pulled no punches when that stormtrooper fell on that fence and was cut in half.
That was
just
awesome.
like, I'm sitting there and Jen looks at me and she's like, that was rad. I was like, yes, it was. I'm going to sleep with one eye open tonight. So
you're dead.
The series has definitely been portraying a more horror aspect of Vader so far very well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Josh, is your complaint like the blue and red lights of the lightsabers in that, like, junkyard chase, or is that your biggest complaint about it?
It's like this. I think what it probably is, like, if I really try to pick it apart, I think it's the ground. I think it's the lack of, it's like they've brought sand in, but it's not, they're not walking in the desert, right? Like, I don't know. There's a disconnect between, like, when you watch the films versus watching the shows. Mando had it too. And I think part of what it is watching in 4K, 1080p, whatever you're watching it in. We used to watch these movies in 480, right? And and there was the scan lines, all that kind of stuff. And so that might be part of the disconnect. But like I said, when you watch stuff on like you watch Game of Thrones, everything is still gritty. And even if there's, like, CGI stuff. So I don't know if it's like practical effects aren't as sellable anymore with
Just cleaner.
Everything looks too clean, maybe. And again, it's a minor, like I'm enjoying it. Like I'm just kind of like, I mean, we used to play Star Wars games on the Atari or the NES, and it's like you're using your imagination to know that you're playing Star Wars at this point. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not like it's something that we can't do. I don't know if they need to like throw some dirt on the camera lens. Like I just wonder what is that one element that would just make it feel a little more.
I can see that.
A long time ago, galaxy far, far away. It's just it's always been gritty. And then when you see the stormtroopers are all covered in dirt and everything, and it's like, okay, it kind of, but they never really were in, like, even when they were on Tatooine looking for Leia or looking for the droids, right? Like they weren't all that dusty and all that dirty, where these guys are like, they're covered head to toe. I don't know. I don't know.
There's some good questions in chat too that we're going to answer here in a second. But
I said for the stormtroopers in the originals, we saw them mostly in space, though.
Yeah,
outside the first, A New Hope, where we saw them on Tatooine. I feel like they did get a little dirty with the sand there, but otherwise, mostly where they were on.
For sure.
Maybe
yeah, and that's what I mean.
too.
Even on Tatooine,
Like,
they had the orange, the little the shoulder piece, and like they're riding around on the dewbacks and stuff. But like I don't know. I'm thinking like my mind is going to the episode where Grogu keeps eating the eggs in Mandalorian, and that little frog lady or whatever. Like there were still just times that even when they're in the snow and everything, that it's like it feels more like a soap opera than a cinematic. And
that might be the difference. It's that it's a TV show rather than a movie.
But I don't know what my question then is. Why lower the production value on something like that? Right.
I think that's time. You just have more time to polish production.
Maybe that is.
It's more time, more money.
If somebody knows that's listening, tweet at me. Like I would love to. I think having the answer, and again, my reference point isn't necessarily the films, but Game of Thrones. But maybe it had a much larger. I have a hard time believing it had a much larger budget than something Star Wars.
Do we know what these episodes were budgeted at?
I'll look it up real quick and see.
Because I know I haven't gotten a chance to start Stranger Things yet, but I know that is budgeted at like $30 million an episode. Yeah. So I know. I mean, there's money in putting production value into shows.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Turbo was even saying he does some media production, saying it. He bet it's the type of camera that they use.
That's what I've always thought too. That it's more than likely the glass that they're using, right? That it's like I don't know. I don't know if it's a like a super high quality, but not necessarily cinematic or something. I'm not sure. It looks like a quick.
Sorry, I was going to say when they produced the special editions, I recall they were talking about how when they were shooting some of the newer footage, like the extras and stuff that they had inserted into scenes, they actually had to put nylon leggings or something like that, like over the lens, just to get to simulate the grain to match the older films.
They put an Instagram filter on it.
Right, that's all you need.
Exactly.
It's all AI now.
So Obi-Wan, like this is according to LRM Online. Each episode of Obi-Wan had secured at least 25 million.
Holy crap!
Per episode, okay, which is quite a huge budget. Now, while you guys keep talking, I do want to look up Game of Thrones, and I just want to see for.
And I would look at probably the later seasons.
I was to say Battle of Winterfell. That arc of what two episodes or something like that probably is very expensive.
I think the first season of Game of Thrones started around 10 million, I think, didn't it? Or like a little under that. And then
that was also 2011.
Became successful.
I mean, by the end of Game of Thrones, they had like 4 units shooting at different times of the year, and
on the subject of practical effects that Josh had raised earlier, I want to say it was either for this show or for Andor, but someone had mentioned something along the lines of that when they did it, or maybe it was even for Mandalorian when they did initial tests. And they were looking at like once you start seeing things with like HD and all that stuff and the way they're shot now and so on, that they actually had to put more effort in detail into those physical props to have them have the same impact that they used to have.
Same grittiness and
I don't recall the exact production that was being addressed towards. So but otherwise, it seems to be that might be one element of it, but I don't think the props necessarily stood out to me as being too clean, though. So
yeah, I mean, the only thing that I ever had an issue with was there was a little too much glare from Obi-Wan's saber at one point. And I think that's because they actually use legit sabers now rather than green screening it in and things like that.
Yeah, they have them light up so that they can have reflective real light on the actor. I know they talked about that a lot in the gallery stuff for the Ahsoka scenes in Mando season 2.
Yeah.
The new Game of Thrones show coming out, House of the Dragon, just under 20 million per episode. Some of the older shows were like first season was 6 million per episode, and then near the end was up to 15 million per episode. So
it's about on par.
Yeah, especially with the time frame, as far as
So Vader, there was a question that was asked in chat earlier about why didn't just Vader like put out the fire? I know I've seen lots of stuff talking about like why didn't he just put it out? And I want to say first with my review of this is that I thought this was some of the best Star Wars we've got besides The Mandalorian. Like it was the Vader we've all wanted to see as kids growing up, like just literally when he felt the presence of Obi-Wan and stopped, and then the rest of that interaction was, I'm proving to you just how far I've fallen from being a Jedi to being a Sith. I'm just going to randomly pick people off and hurt them and kill them just to like make you even more fearful. And then the fact when he pulled him over the fire and held him there and didn't chase him, I think he's doing like a classic Vader thing, right? Where he's trying to pull out more of the rebels or the rebellion. He wants Obi-Wan to just suffer as much as possible rather than just a quick death,
I think there's definitely something there because with him dragging all the civilians out, I think that's very much echoing the thing they've pretty much repeated like almost every episode now with the Inquisitors is that the Jedi hunt themselves, and to draw Obi-Wan out, they want to injure or kill the civilians to try and force him to intervene to protect them.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't start doing that until he knows Obi-Wan is in the area. And so it's not even necessarily saying a message to Obi-Wan at this point, but to try and lure him out so that way he can directly confront him and send that message home a little more personally.
Dude, I didn't know what was going on either with that interaction. And then when he like lit his saber and like bent down, I was like, what is he doing? And I was like, oh, that's what he's doing, dude. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But I want to hear Nate, Nightcrawler, Quest. I want to hear some of you guys. What y'all's thoughts on it?
I thought it was really good. Even as much as Vader it's amazing to finally get him, and especially this early. I know it's like the halfway point, so it makes sense. But I think a lot of us didn't think we were gonna get Vader till like another episode or so. So we got like a lot of Vader here in this one episode. But the highlights were still Obi-Wan and Leia. We got, like I said, you get the Vader being the monster, and that's something more or less new for us outside of, to a degree, what happened in Rogue One, but that's kind of a different type of scenario. But here you got those really great character moments between Obi-Wan and Leia, when she's asking if he's her father and how much he wishes that, I wish I could, relieve your pain and say yes, but unfortunately, no, because
the internet did not know how to read that room when it comes to that line. They're like the comments I was seeing is that he wishes he was with Padme, and it's like no,
trolls, dude.
He wants to ease the pain of a little girl that doesn't know who her parents are. Like she has her adoptive parents who I mean she loves them, but like she
loves them enough to run away.
She was kidnapped
slowly,
very slowly.
Yeah.
But I mean she just she's inquisitive, and she's always been inquisitive.
Yeah, it was definitely anyone suggesting that, I think, is a mystery. There's never been anything to really suggest that outside of, I think it may have been the going back to the Revenge of the Sith novelization. Anakin may have had a tinge of suspicion of someone along those lines, where Obi-Wan and Padme had some interactions, but it wasn't like a romantic interaction. They were kind of hiding things from him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's only a small suggestion and not even like anything real. And I doubt the people making these interpretations are drawing from that deep of a cut to justify coming to that conclusion.
Yeah. Nate, what do you think, man?
I mean, a lot of it's been covered. It was, great seeing Vader be Vader and just probably about as ruthless as we've seen. I don't know what's worse, that or the end of Rogue One. The scene where he's interrogating and looking and snap the kid's neck. And yeah, jeez.
Yeah.
I wonder how much more we'll see of him, because I feel like they've already had their confrontation. And I don't know if they'll fight again or not, but I just think if they do too much, it feels like it would put a little damper on New Hope, where they hadn't seen each other, in so long. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I think they gotta face each other again.
They have to face it, because the line is, when we last met, I was but the learner, and you were the master, and I was but the learner.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's got to get his confidence
So
back,
he's got to be
guess.
bested in some fashion, a little bit.
Obi-Wan
I've
has
seen
that too. Like Obi-Wan's like not at peak or anywhere
Yeah.
near.
He needs to
Like,
He's
get
doing the
his-
Cal Kestis thing, man.
And-
He's reconnecting with the Force.
part
Right.
of that. Like, he
Video
found
game
out
thing.
that Anakin was alive less than like a day earlier
Yeah.
than
That's true.
when that confrontation happened.
Still
Maybe
shook.
Maybe he'll
I'm
cut
guessing
another
he's
hand
gotta
off.
He's still
Well,
shook.
I'm guessing he has to talk to Qui-Gon first.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna see that. I saw an interesting theory
Training
today
time.
that was like the episode coming out tonight has the potential to be the Satine flashback, because if he gets put in
Ooh.
Bacta or something like that, then he's gonna maybe have a flashback or something.
Interesting. I don't know if they're going to do that, man. Honestly, I think there's not enough people
There's
that'll.
Satine episodes referenced in the watch list prior to
Yeah.
this show.
I don't think they have to do it. I'm hoping they don't reuse the Bacta tank storytelling mechanism now.
Yeah.
I think they can.
What do
They've
you
already
mean?
For
It's
one
so
episode, it'll be okay.
Well, but still, they've already established within just Obi-Wan Kenobi series itself, like they can do flashbacks as an opening scene, as a cold open. They can do dream sequences and so on.
Yeah, the Anakin in the field was good.
That too, yeah. He could do a hallucinator for all we know, or see a vision, or what have you. Go on any kind of dig up a cave type of scenario to see faces of the past, and maybe that's how they bring in Hayden again for more than a distant glimpse without the makeup on.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like Vader held back with Obi-Wan?
Oh,
With his
he
saber?
was one hand in
He was
it, dude.
toying
He
with
wasn't even two handing it.
Yeah, but I feel like it was a good. To me, I feel like it was a good connection between old Vader and old Ben. Like they didn't just start whipping their lightsabers around like at the end of episode 3, where they weren't even touching each other and just look what I can do kind of thing. Like it was more just like everything felt pretty deliberate. Obi, if I remember correctly, I mean, I have to watch it again closely, but I feel like he kind of fought like he did in A New Hope, with like, it seemed like both hands were maybe on the saber. Like he wasn't nearly as confident as he used to be, which I think is the point, right? I mean,
He's also assessing the situation a lot more. You see him look behind him because he when he slashes like to make the fog come in, like he's in retreat, but he's also tactically looking around. I also read something as well that's like, this just proves how broken Vader's body is. Even though he's got the suit, he's not physically as capable as he once was. He's got 4 mechanical limbs. He doesn't. You see him get put together at the beginning of the episode, and he's just not what he was. And I mean, the most mobile you see Vader in the original trilogy is the fight on Bespin, where he's jumping downstairs, and
well, he's not trying to kill him, much like with the Luke confrontation on Bespin. He's not trying to kill Obi-Wan. He wants to capture and or make him tortured and suffer Yeah, so it's and Obi-Wan's just completely on the defensive. He's outmatched. Yeah.
I really like how they're doing it right now. It's just really well done. I think the fight that we see there is basically, I think the reason why Vader is not having to really go ham is because Obi-Wan hadn't touched a saber in 10 years. And it's like
he had to go dig it up.
Yeah. It's like, even if you study martial arts, if you haven't trained for 10 years, you're going to be rusty and a little hesitant,
Well, I think it's also, I don't think he's holding back. I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Mule, that he wants him to suffer, right? He doesn't want this to be quick. He wants him to see other people suffer. He also wants to see, as we see him pull him into the fire and just hold him there, right? Like it was like a cat playing with its food. There was no like Obi-Wan really didn't stand a chance. Like you could even see in the way he was swinging his saber, he's like he would hit him once and Obi-Wan would go flying, right? Like it was like the machine carrying or using that
super
saber
strong.
Was like, there was just no, Obi-Wan had no shot. And but then what's kind of what's kind of rad is then in A New Hope, what is that? Well, why is he holding back so much? Right. Obviously at the time it was the technology, but they are making it seem now like it was all part of it's because there's always been that disconnect between episode 3, right? When we'd see the way the Jedi were using, fellow chucker, right? Like going full Michelangelo, and then here we are, in 1978, and like they're swinging these things around like Excalibur, and they're plugged in and all that stuff. They kept breaking them, right? But I love the way they're putting them together. It's just, I think, or tying them all together. I think it's a great. It ties everything together so well.
10 years after the prequels is such a great. It's a perfect middle ground to give it time. I know Tatooine sons are got to be harsh on Ben's face to turn him into Alec Guinness, but
Rebels also gives us another touchstone too in that transition. So this can begin the transition towards the more samurai film duel style that you see with the Maul confrontation, and then later on with Vader on the Death Star. We can start inching towards that. We already have a semi-middle touch, 3/4 of the way touchstone to start transitioning towards now.
Yeah. I think I have an answer for the fighting stuff for you, Josh, but I'm going to save it for the post show for the Patreons. So
nice.
Go sign up. Yeah.
Love it.
So wrap up here real quick, guys. Scale 1 to 10. What would you rate episode 3 of Kenobi?
I'll give it an 8.5.
8.5. All right.
Yeah. I liked it.
All right.
Yeah, I'll go 8.5.
8.5.
Yeah, that sounds good for me too.
I was flirting around 9. I'll go high. I'll say 9.
I'll join you with the 9.
What is this? The Price is Right? 901.
$1.
I'll go 8.6. Yeah.
Quest, thank you for joining us, man. Tell everyone where they can find you on socials or any of that.
I'm on Twitter and most other places as The2ndQuest. You can also find some video content I've worked on YouTube on a channel called Denim Intent, including a viewing order for the Clone Wars that improves upon the official chronological order as well. So people might find that use for introducing new people to the series, or a way of revisiting it if they've already watched it.
Perfect. Well, guys, thanks for watching. If you're on Spotify, remember you can also watch the live recording that we did here as we live stream the podcast. So you can not only listen, but watch us as well and see our handsome. You can see Josh's face finally. You can see his face. Yes.
I'm
so
back.
Guys, thanks for joining us. And remember,
the Force will be with you always.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you, Master.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with us all.